Jeffrey Edward Epstein was born on January 20th, 1953, Brooklyn, New York. His beginnings were unremarkable. Raised in a working-class Jewish family, his father worked for New York City's Parks Department. Epstein showed early academic promise, particularly in mathematics, and briefly attended Cooper Union before transferring to New York University. But he never finished his degree. In the late 1970s, Epstein began teaching at the Dalton School, an elite private institution in Manhattan. Despite lacking a college degree, ad lib OA, he secured the position through connections, particularly one powerful one, Donald Barr, then headmaster of Dalton, and father of future U.S. Attorney General William Barr. At Dalton, Epstein taught math and physics, and it was there he first made contact with the children of New York's elite. Among his students was the son of Alan Greenberg, the CEO of Bear Stearns. It was this relationship that would change the course of Epstein's life. Greenberg hired Epstein at Bear Stearns in 1976 as a junior assistant. Epstein had a knack for numbers and a talent for persuasion. By 1980, he was a limited partner at the firm. But in 1981, under suspicious circumstances, allegedly due to policy violations, he was asked to leave. Epstein left Wall Street, but took with him connections that would seed the foundation of a private financial empire. Through the 1980s and 1990s, Epstein built himself into an enigmatic financier. He claimed to manage the wealth of billionaires, but few clients were ever publicly named. One of the few confirmed was Leslie Wexner, the billionaire founder of L Brands, parent company of Victoria's Secret. Epstein gained an extraordinary degree of control over Wexner's finances, even power of attorney. Wexner eventually sold Epstein the Manhattan mansion that would become infamous, the largest private residence in New York City. Behind closed doors, the mansion was outfitted with surveillance systems cameras in almost every room. According to multiple reports, Epstein used these tools not just for security, but to gather compromising material on his guests. His social circle expanded, entertained politicians, scientists, actors, and royalty. Among his associates were former President Bill Clinton, Britain's Prince Andrew, and future President Donald Trump. His guest lists featured heads of state and Nobel laureates. On the surface, he was a philanthropist with a passion for science. He donated to prestigious institutions like Harvard and MIT, but behind the facade, a darker operation was unfolding. In 2005, a 14-year-old girl in Palm Beach, Florida, told her parents Epstein had paid her for a massage. Police began an investigation. Over time, detectives identified more than 30 young girls, many underage, who had been brought to Epstein's residence for similar encounters. The accounts shared a pattern. The girls were recruited by other girls, brought to Epstein for massages, during which they were groped, assaulted, or raped. Epstein often paid them in cash and offered bonuses for recruiting others. The case appeared strong, but Epstein's legal team included some of the most powerful attorneys in the country, Ellen Dershowitz, Kenneth Starr, and Jay Lefkowitz among them, instead of federal charges. Epstein struck a secret non-prosecution agreement with the U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta in 2008. The deal allowed Epstein to plead guilty to 2 state charges of soliciting prostitution from a minor. He served just 13 months in a county jail, with work release privileges that let him spend up to 12 hours a day outside the facility. The agreement granted immunity to Epstein's co-conspirators and was concealed from his victims. When details of the plea deal surfaced years later, outrage followed. But for a decade, Epstein lived freely, dividing his time between residences in Manhattan, New Mexico, Paris, and his private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands, Little St. James. This island, over 70 acres in size, was rumored to be the site of many of Epstein's most egregious abuses. Former staff and survivors later testified that girls as young as 12 were trafficked to the island, often under false pretenses, and coerced into sexual acts. By 2018, new legal pressure mounted. Investigative journalists like Julie K. Brown of the Miami Herald were published revealing the scale of Epstein's crimes and the extent of the cover-up. Her reporting, based on interviews with survivors and unsealed court documents, reignited public interest and triggered renewed federal investigations. In July 2019, Epstein was arrested at Teterboro Airport in New Jersey after returning from Paris. He was charged with sex trafficking of minors and conspiracy. FBI agents raided his Manhattan mansion, where they recovered hundreds of nude photographs of underage girls, some locked in safes, along with fake passports, piles of cash, and diamonds. This time, the charges stuck. He was denied bail. As Epstein sat in the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan, speculation intensified. High-profile figures across politics, finance, and royalty had reason to fear what Epstein might reveal. On August 10, 2019, Epstein was found unresponsive in his cell, the official ruling. Suicide by hanging. But the circumstances raised serious questions. Jail guards reportedly fell asleep and falsified logs. Surveillance footage from outside Epstein's cell was corrupted or lost. The cameras had malfunctioned. An autopsy revealed broken bones in his neck consistent with both hanging and strangulation. Conspiracy theories spread rapidly. Despite his death, legal action continued. His longtime associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, was arrested in 2020 and charged with aiding Epstein's trafficking network. Prosecutors described her as a central figure recruiting, grooming, and abusing underage girls alongside Epstein. In 2021, she was convicted on 5 federal charges, including sex trafficking of a minor. Civil suits also emerged. Dozens of women, many now adults, filed claims against Epstein's estate, Maxwell, and other associates. Virginia Giuffre, one of the most outspoken survivors, alleged that she had been trafficked to multiple powerful men, including Prince Andrew. In 2022, Andrew settled Giuffre's lawsuit out of court for a reported sum of $12 million. Without admitting wrongdoing, Epstein's estate, once valued at over $600 million, was placed into a compensation fund for victims. Over $120 million was eventually paid to claimants, but questions persisted. Who else was involved? What names were in Epstein's black book, his flight logs, his surveillance archives? And why had so many institutions taken his money, even after the 2008 conviction? Beyond the abuse itself, Epstein's story became a case study in impunity. It exposed how influence, wealth, and connections could obstruct justice. And it revealed the fragility of accountability when those in power protect each other. Even now, full answers remain elusive. Epstein is dead. Maxwell is imprisoned. But for many of his victims, the battle continues against a system that protected a predator for far too long.